All right, today we're talking with Kira Caban from Instawork. Kira, welcome to the show. Typically, I'd like to start off and take us back a little bit and tell us about your background.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Joe. Like you mentioned, my name's Kira. I'm from Instawork. Instawork is a flexible work app that connects local businesses in cities all over the country with a network of more than 2 million hourly workers. And so really, Instawork is all about giving people the opportunity to define when they work, how they work, and where they work. So a little bit about me. I'm from the DC area, and I've been with Instawork a little bit more than a year. And just a little bit of context is how we came to be partnered with Hiring Our Heroes. The last company that I worked for is a company called Pretendus based out of Baltimore, and the CEO is a veteran. And so when we were having the conversation about me coming over to Instawork, he's like, you know what? This is a great thing that Instawork is doing, and you have to find a way to get military spouses involved and transitioning members of service, because there's one, just a gap of employment when somebody leaves service, trying to figure out what their next career path is going to look like. And
Mhm.
military spouses are always battling, moving, trying to find sources of income, whatever their career path is. And this would be a great fit. So having Nick in the back of my mind as we were kind of figuring out what these different partnerships would look like, Hiring Our Heroes was a no-brainer, and we've been really excited to partner with them.
Awesome. And when did this relationship with Hiring Our Heroes and Instawork start?
So the relationship is fairly new. We're a few months into the partnership. It's something that Instaworks committed to. We love supporting this community, and it's something that we're going to be doing for the foreseeable future. We're just really excited. My husband also works at Walter Reed in Bethesda, and so he's been a great source of knowledge and just putting Hiring Our Heroes out to the service members that he's working with as they're thinking about transitioning, and also giving us resources that we should be thinking about as we continue this partnership. So it's multifaceted, and it's really unique how the world seems so big, but it's actually really small when you get down to like the brass tacks of it all. And so
Yeah.
we're just really excited to be partnering with them and seeing how we can help this community.
So let's dig into Instawork a little bit, because there's a number of platforms, similar or it kind of in the getting hired online or via online. Talk some details about Instawork, like what does it take? How does it differ from some of the other platforms? And
Sure.
what are we going to find if we go to Instawork and military spouses or veterans are looking for jobs on the platform?
Sure. So Instawork is unique in that it's going to be very easy. You go to your favorite app store, you can search for Instawork, download it to your phone. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to create a profile. It would be similar to LinkedIn in that it's a digital fingerprint or a digital profile where you can highlight all of your different experience, particularly in different industries that you may want to dabble into, or maybe you're thinking, I'm transitioning out of the military service. I think I may want to go into hospitality, like maybe I want to start a business or a restaurant or whatever it may be, but I don't have that experience. This is a perfect way to start picking up shifts in hospitality or retail or whatever it may be, and get some of that on the ground experience so that yes, this is exactly what I want to be doing. Or maybe I thought this was, but I actually tried a shift in supply chain logistics and warehousing, and I actually really want to go and figure out some of the problems that we're tackling in that area. And so then it's really easy to do. So once you download the app, you create a profile, you put in your experience. We're actually working right now to have a setup within the app where you can check a box or somehow identify yourself as a veteran, an active military member, or a military spouse. And then that will be featured in your profile. And then once you put in all of your experience, we do run a background check on everyone for safety reasons. And then within 24 hours, you can start seeing the shifts in your area and start building a schedule, whether it's picking up a shift the next day, a week out, a month out, whatever it is, it's entirely up to you.
And are most of the jobs, are they more brick and mortar type jobs, or are they more remote type work?
So a lot of this is more for in-person experience. So the industries that we currently serve are hospitality, warehouse logistics, supply chain management, things like that, retail. We also care that a lot of the workers that are using the app find really fun and unique experiences. So we staff the majority of the baseball stadiums across the country right now. other sporting events, concert venues, things like that. So you can sprinkle in some fun while you're earning an income. And so within those industries, it's usually in person. So at the stadiums, it might be concession or cashiering in a retail space. For supply chain or warehouse logistics, it could be helping in a warehouse, making sure that people get their packages. There's a variety. There's a ton of opportunity there. And so if you're just looking to get some different experience that way, you can have at it. The other interesting thing about Instawork is that you're not obligated to work for a certain business in a certain role for a certain amount of time. So one day you may pick up a concession stand at your local baseball stadium, and the next day you may pick up a warehousing shift. It's entirely up to you to figure out how you want to work.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's definitely something that's unique about Instawork, is because so many of these places or platforms, they're focusing on the online remote work where you're actually promoting the in-person brick and mortar or type experiences. So that's got to be I don't know of another one that's really doing that. So at least I haven't heard of. So it's kind of cool. It's definitely different.
It's interesting because I've been monitoring the conversations around what the future of work looks like. And a lot of those conversations are around remote workforce, desk side employees. But what we're seeing is that there's not a lot of conversation about what does the future of work look like for the hourly worker or the in-person worker in some of these industries that I mentioned.
Mhm.
And so we're kind of the first that is tackling this. And we're creating a new space that is flexible work for the hourly worker. They want to be able to go and travel or attend their kids' soccer games or take care of their families. For military members, they can take the app with them when they move to a new city. And so you don't have that gap in network or income, even when you're moving, domestically, you can take it with you. So it's all about flexibility and getting paid higher wages. And really like creating the future of work for those people. And so that is something that we're kind of excited about to be the first of.
That's awesome. All right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Sure.
All right, back talking with Kira Caban with Instawork. So, Kira, I mean, portability of jobs or job opportunities is very important with the military community, military spouses, especially. These are brick and mortar type jobs or hourly shift type jobs, but the portability still works with Instawork as long as you get the app on your phone, right?
That's correct. So I think what's interesting, particularly for military spouses, is we have heard from this community in particular that they run up against some challenges with moving even domestically within the country. You have to leave a job, you move across the country, you don't have a network to tap into, you have trouble finding a job. The interesting thing with Instawork is as long as you have the app on your phone, no matter where you move, Instawork has businesses we're staffing in over 30 markets across the US and Canada. You can just change the location in the app with your new address. And then when you go to look at shifts, all of the shifts in your new geographical location are going to populate. So it's very easy to take it with you and hopefully prevent you from having that gap in income when you move.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the advantages on the employer side of things as far as, what does Instawork do for the employers?
So for the businesses that we work with, it helps them ensure that they have the staffing that they need to thrive and to succeed. And so, if you think about the past 2 years of the pandemic, look at the hospitality industry, it all but shut down. A lot of businesses were having trouble staffing. A lot of people who traditionally worked in hospitality left the industry during the pandemic because there just wasn't an opportunity to make money and went to another industry. And so now these businesses are having to rethink their staffing strategy and get more creative to get people back into the industry. And so with the flexibility that we've been talking about, we help them find staff who's qualified, who's reliable, who is selecting to work for them in whatever capacity that may be, which means they're going to show up, they're going to be excited about working, and they know that they have the staff that they need. The interesting thing is a lot of businesses have seasonality to it. So, the holiday season, if you're in retail or tourism, travel, hospitality, you're going to see these big spikes around Christmas, the end of the year, but then it might kind of drop off in January. And so you can just dial up or down your staffing needs with Instawork based on what your demand is going to be. and you don't have to worry about keeping people on when there isn't business or layoffs or anything that may have like a negative outcome. You have what you need, and then you can dial it down. Those workers can just pick up shifts with other businesses because they're not obligated to work for just one business. So it's kind of a win-win for both sides.
How does the money work? If you have your profile in Instawork, you do your W-4, and does the pay and everything come through Instawork? So you're consistent getting paid through Instawork, regardless if you're bouncing from different companies. The money flow maintains consistent.
Exactly.
Work.
So we try to make it as easy as possible for the workers using the app, as well as the businesses who need staffing. And so from the worker perspective or the app user, whatever income you make on the app will be channeled through the Instawork app. And, you know, as part of your profile setup, you'll set up how you want your financial, you know, bank account, debit card, whatever it may be. You can add that to the app. What I think is interesting, though, is for budgeting and financial planning purposes, if you look at shifts in the app, you not only see what you're going to be making per hour for a specific shift, but you're also going to see what you're going to take home at the end of the day. And so we've heard from app users that that's incredibly helpful to know exactly what they're going to be taking home, so they can just budget better. And they know if they want to travel or the holidays are coming up and they need extra income, they just know how many extra shifts they want to pick up in order to offset some of those costs. Same thing applies with inflation. We've been hearing a lot of people need extra income. And so they can toggle the amount of shifts that they're working per week, per month, whatever it may be, to hit those financial goals.
And so Instawork actually, like, they actually publish the hourly rate right there, make it real obvious, because a lot of the job boards and everything, it's like, you know, salary competitive or hourly rate competitive. You never know what it's really going to be until you're too far in, and then it's too late.
Again, the name of the game is flexibility and transparency, and we never want anyone to question what they're going to be taking home at the end of the day. And so all of that is right there. You can look at multiple shifts in your area, and you know, you may want to pick up shifts in a certain industry for the experience. But if you're doing it to make some extra income and you have a financial goal in mind, you may just want to pick up the shifts with the highest hourly rate. I mean, that's entirely up to you on how you want to build your work schedule. But all of that information is there so that you can make informed decisions that way.
And that so built in Instawork, is there like interviewing and onboarding built in? Like with certain jobs, you might have to interview for the job ahead of time before you're accepted. How does all that work?
That's a really good question. So what we do is we take the information when you're creating a profile, all of the experience, the skills, if you have, you know, relevant certifications, whatever it may be. We have analytics, AI, machine learning, which is fancy talk for on the back end. We can match your skills and your experience with job opportunities or work opportunities through the businesses in your area. So we, you know, I mentioned before, we do the background check, but then we use technology to make sure that you are being better matched or best matched to the businesses in your area, so that it's a good fit either way. And then if there's any like follow-up, you know, you'll be prompted either within the app or somebody from support would reach out.
And then are there like, is it like Uber, where you know the user gets evaluated by the driver, and the users evaluate the drivers also, and so you certain companies built up, you know, 5-star ratings or certain
It's very similar to that, actually. We do try to create, again, in the spirit of transparency, the business can rate the worker after a shift on a 5-star rating scale, just like you would see in Uber, but the worker also has the ability to rate the business that they've worked for on a 5-star rating scale. So when you're looking at those shifts, you can get an idea of, from a worker perspective, what it's been like to work for that business. And then also other businesses in your area get insight into those specific workers that may be picking up shifts and how other businesses in the area have rated them. So it's both sides of the coin there.
Okay. So are you able to share any Instawork numbers with us, like number of companies on the platform or customers on the platform or whatever it is? You got any cool stats for us that you can?
Yeah, I have a ton of cool stats. So we are growing like crazy. So right now we have over 2 million pros, which are our app users or the workers in network. And that number is growing every day. We also staff over 2 million.
Wow,
And I'm sure
awesome.
if I looked, it would, it would be constantly rolling up,
Yeah.
especially heading into the holidays where people want the extra money. We staff over 15,000 business locations across the country, and we are in over 30 markets. So really any major metropolitan area, you're probably going to be able to find a shift in. There's probably a few exceptions in there.
Mhm.
But big cities are definitely, a place that you can leverage Instawork. Well, I'm trying to think other cool stats. The average, so this actually may be very interesting to everybody listening or watching.
Uh-huh.
When you look at a local minimum wage, whether it's a state or city minimum wage, you're gonna, it may, depending on where you're in the country, it may range from like a little over $7 an hour all the way up to $15 an hour. Depending on the location, normally the average hourly rate on Instawork is going to be double that, at least double that. Again, there's some variation depending on the type of shift,
Mm-hmm.
where you are in the country, that kind of thing. But it's really helpful because people know that they're making significantly more money than the minimum wage, and they're getting that experience. And again, they have complete control over their financial goals and what they want to do. We've even had people make 6 figures on the app, and it's just because they have set a goal.
That's
And
awesome.
they know the amount of shifts that they have to do, and that's how they get there. And so it's inspiring to see some of those stories.
No kidding. Well, as
Mhm.
far as the military community, how is the relationship with Hiring Our Heroes operate?
So our relationship is really great. We're considered a friend of Hiring Our Heroes. And I think what's interesting, talking about cool stats,
Mm-hmm.
is that they have some stats on their website, and it's something like almost a million. It's like over 900,000 military spouses are in their network.
Mm-hmm.
25% of those have wanted to be self-employed or have control over their financial outcome at some point. And so when we see, stats like that, we felt very compelled that Instawork would be something that all of those military spouses and members, veterans, transitioning members could actually leverage because of the spirit that they have, because they want to have, control over their career path, their financial outcomes, whatever it may be. And so we're really excited to be able to watch that community leverage this network and the app and the opportunities that we present and kind of thrive, whatever comes next for them.
So Hiring
Mhm.
Our Heroes has definitely pushed a lot of people to the Instawork platform.
It's a true partnership.
Yeah.
I actually just sat on a panel for talking about retail and hospitality jobs with Hiring Our Heroes yesterday. And
Mhm.
so we are definitely kind of aligned in our mission, and that is really to support members of this community and figure out how we can help them succeed, you know, while they're active and while they're, kind of moving all over the country, but also trying to help them figure out what that next phase of their career path is going to be.
Yeah. How long has
Mhm.
Instawork been around?
They've been around since 2016.
Oh,
So
okay.
what is that? 6, almost 7 years at this point.
Yeah, probably grown like exponentially in the last couple of years.
Yes, the pandemic was a game changer for us when everybody started to really contemplate flexible work and what that would look like for them. I think we've grown over 8x in the past 2 years. So we're riding a rocket ship. We're excited about it.
Wow, that's awesome.
Mhm.
So do you find like any other statistics like most of your users come in, they do a couple jobs, they're gone, or
Mm.
how many people like have been on the platform for years? You mentioned somebody, there are some few people that make like 6 figures, like, um, you know, people love the platform so much that once they come on, 80% of the people stay and work. Like, what kind of other stats can you share with us along those lines?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard to put specific numbers to that because of the amount of people that we do have on the platform.
Mhm.
Their particular journey just varies, from one person to the next. What I can tell you is just stories. I talk to app users or pros regularly,
Uh-huh.
and we do hear some really interesting stories. I mentioned the person who made 6 figures on the app.
Yeah.
There's other people that have decided they started using Instawork as a side hustle. They had a regular 9 to 5 salary job, and they wanted to, pay for a vacation or do something special, and they just needed the extra money.
Mhm.
And then once they started going on the app, they ended up replacing their 9 to 5 job with Instawork because it gave them the flexibility that
Mm.
they were looking for. And then they also got to decide how much money they made, which is something, traditionally people don't have much say in. Once you get a job, you're kind of confined to a range. And so that's been interesting. You do have some people that maybe hit their financial goal if it's a summer trip and then they take a break, but a lot of times we'll see them come back, whether it's a particular season or they just want to have some extra money, or maybe they're contemplating a new career shift.
Mhm.
And while they're taking the time to figure that out, they just want to use the app to make the money so they don't have that gap in income.
Yeah.
I mean, truly, it's up to the user to decide when they want to work, how they want to work, how much they want to make. All of those things are up to the worker. We provide them a way to do that.
Are there very many people that where it turns into a long-term or permanent type of job relationship? And if that's the case, like, do you guys try to restrict people from like leaving Instawork platform and going direct with the company, or do the company and the workers don't even, the pros don't even want to do that? They just
Sure.
stay within the Instawork
It's
framework?
a question we get all the time, and we have a variety of opportunities. So you can do the create your own schedule, one-off shifts with different businesses like we've been talking about. We also work with some businesses to staff long-term assignments, which it could be 4, 6, 8 weeks. I think some of that seasonality that we've been talking about plays into that. And that's for somebody who wants to know that for the next, several weeks, they're at one employer, they know exactly how much they're going to make, they know the hours, there's the stability or the expectation around that.
Mhm.
But we have had businesses who are like, I just really like this worker and I want to hire them full time, and the worker is also interested in working them full time, and we support that. We consider that a win on both sides.
Okay.
And kind of how we think about it is you get to try each other out before you invest. And when a great relationship is forged through Instawork, we consider that a win. And then, they get to ride off into the sunset and pursue their relationship that way.
Yeah. But on the flip side of that, do you have some companies that are like, no, no, we're just going to do everything through Instawork from here forward? And you have, pros that are also like, I'm just doing it through Instawork because it's just easier than bouncing from one place to another.
Yeah, for sure. Some people, just love being able to not have the same thing every day. And so there's plenty of people that will, if there's a sporting event they really love, they'll pick up a shift at the sporting event and support their local team. They love that. Doesn't feel like work. And then the next day they'll be working in warehousing because they just wanted something different. We also have businesses who, started with us and they're like, this has been fantastic. We're all in. All of our staff is going to come from you.
That's all.
And that's because we've been able to find the right people that they want based on their skills, their experience, and that they're excited to be at the business when they show up because they got to choose the shift.
Mhm.
They got to choose the business that they were working for. And so everything that you mentioned, we have experience with, and again, it's all about those relationships between the business and the worker, and how can we bring those two together in a meaningful way.
Okay. So if you're talking to an employer or somebody that's looking for hourly work, um, and they're interested in Instawork, how do they get started?
It's very easy. So as long as you have a smartphone, you can either go to instawork.com and we'll point you in the right direction there. The easiest way to get the app and get going is to go to your app store, Android, Apple, whichever one, we're there, download the app, create a profile, and then within 24 hours, you'll start to see the shifts available in your area and you can start building your schedule.
Awesome. And if you're talking to those military spouses out there or folks that are still on active duty looking for additional source of income, or veterans, whatever, to anybody in the veteran community, what's the final word you have for what Instawork can do for them?
That's that's an awesome way to close this out. I think as if you're a military spouse, a lot of our pros on the platform or our app users have experienced some of the similar frustrations or concerns that military spouses have. It's they need the flexibility to maneuver either moving around the country, taking care of kids, school schedules, all of those things that caregivers have to deal with. And they don't have the network to find stable jobs in each one of the cities that they need, or they have to quit a job every time that they move. Instawork is a way to solve that, where you still get all of the flexibility that you need, and you just build a work schedule around your personal life. I think the same thing applies for veterans or people who are transitioning out of service right now. If you're worried about having any kind of gap in income while you're figuring out what your next step is, whether it's something you want to do in entrepreneurship, or you just don't quite know how you want to take your experience and apply it, in the civilian world, pick up a shift in Instawork. You may find something you really love. You won't have that gap in income, and it's just a great experience, and you can build out your network even further that way.
That's awesome. All right, Kara. Well, thanks for sharing a great opportunity for veterans and their families, and especially the military spouses. Doing a lot of good stuff with the relationship for hiring our heroes. So look forward to seeing the future success of Instawork.
Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. We're out.
Is that good?